Hey, good morning, folks. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Just gonna wait for us a little bit of an audience here. Going live for Sunday breakfast with the coach. So hopefully some people are out there, and we'll get to some stuff that's worth getting to whenever you guys are on board. So just waiting for that. I'm gonna stack up some books here. Oh, there we go. See if that's not a little bit better for you. There we are. So we'll be doing another Ask Me Anything session. I'm just going to wait for more people to get on board. If you want to put in a question now, you can. And hello to everybody out there, and a special wave to someone else. And we're all good here. So gathering an audience. Let's just wait till we have a few more people on there. And be happy to take your questions. So certainly lots going on in the Team Abel camp. So yeah, have some stuff I want to throw at you today. So just going to wait for us to build up. I appreciate you guys throwing your thumbs and hearts across the screen. As I told you before, Facebook likes that. So the more you do that, the more Facebook enhances our reach, whatever that means. But my business manager tells me that's good. So that's a good thing. So yeah, let me know you're out there. Let me know where you're coming from. And early morning here on the West Coast, 5 a.m., 12 minutes after 5. So wherever you're at, I'm sure it is a little bit later than that. So we'll get going. I'll be happy to answer your questions. There are a few things I want to get through today. I wrote a bunch of stuff down. That's me during the week. I'm all about like jotting down errant thoughts before I forget them, or stuff that I think is worth writing down and worth noting. So that's where all my quote cards and pieces and tidbits of advice and stuff come from. I have a brain that doesn't shut off when I'm awake, so all good. So boy, our numbers are increasing quick. We got England on board and a few other people on board. So yeah, Finland on board. Always great to have a worldwide reach. We got Australia on board. What else? I guess we got obviously the eastern regions of North America on board, so that's great. Yeah, so lots to get to. Last week's was a pretty good reach in terms of and topic matter. I think people, for some reason, people are always infatuated with the topic of diet, which always makes me scratch my head because I find it one of those things that's just not that complicated. But the industry has everyone believing it's immensely complicated. So a lot of the times expertise is unraveling to simplicity things that should have been simple in the first place. And that's what we like to get to. So I have a few things to throw at you. And remember that fitness should always be an element of teaching you something. Otherwise, kind of what's the point? If you're only in fitness to burn calories and things like that, then you're kind of missing the bigger picture, and you'll miss the bigger reward for that too, and that'll make it harder to stay more motivated. So yes, happy Sunday refeed. I've already had one refeed, so just killing time to my next meal of high indulgence. I have bacon wrapped hot dogs and butterscotch ice cream on the agenda next, so looking forward to getting that in me. For my calorie spikes, people don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about the Scott Abel Cycle Diet. That's the cycle diet and the value of refeeds and spike days and calorie spikes and things like that. And we got lots going on. So shooting a lot of videos with supermodel Andy Sinclair, and shooting a lot of videos with the lovely Krista, and those are going into several products that we're making up actually as well. So Pakistan's on board and other areas are on board, so we're getting there. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I do, Janine. I try to do things to the best of my ability. It's just how I'm hardwired. I don't know how to do things half-assed. It's just part of my wiring, I think. I can't leave anything knowing I didn't devote myself to it. So, and that includes these Sunday breakfast with the coach. However, I mean, a lot of Sunday breakfast with the coach is about being out there with you guys and helping you guys with what you want to hear about, not necessarily just what I want to talk about. But I start with what I want to talk about so that while we're waiting for an audience to build, so that I don't have to go over things again when people join late. So yeah, people yeah, so people just saying they're liking the various podcasts and the various live sessions. If you don't know the podcast, that's Smarter Sculpted Physique on iTunes or wherever you get your downloads of podcasts, however you get them. Smarter Sculpted Physique, lots of interesting guests coming up, and you'll love that. Yes, I know everyone loves Andy keeping his shirt off in our videos. Well, that's on purpose, though, to be honest, Janine. I mean, why not? If you have that kind of specimen, why not use it to inspire and invigorate people? I mean, initially we were going to start out with me actually doing the exercise demos, but it's pretty obvious that Andy's a better choice for that, and because he's a protege, I know he's doing exercises correctly, etc. So yeah, I mean, whenever you can get a specimen that is going to, you know, really illustrate and show what you're trying to get across, like Andy's anatomy chart type of physique, then why wouldn't you avail yourself of that? So I don't have too many clients that live in the area, so I'm limited, because I know a lot of people were like, well, have some ladies over 50 and have some. Well, I'm not a personal trainer, folks. My clients are spread out throughout the globe. I have clients in last time I checked was 21 countries, something 15 to 21 countries, so something like that is important. So I think we're building a pretty good audience. So before I start getting to it, I appreciate the thumbs, guys. I'm gonna present a few things to you in terms of things that are important to me, notes I've been making lately, things like that. There's a lot of things at my age, looking back, that I wish I could think then about these things the way I think now. It would have been a lot healthier. So, hey, Manuel from Italy, glad to have you on board. Well, I'm not going to take my shirt off, Janine. I want to keep all my viewers. So those days have passed. I'll post old posters and pictures. Although a former client of mine yesterday sent me some autographed 8x10s she found, probably found them in her garbage, but that I signed for her way back when I used to sign autographed pictures and things like that. So that was pretty funny. Egypt. Oh, nice to have Egypt here. All right, folks. So let's start with, as I titled this, life lessons that fitness can teach. Now, here's the thing that I want to get across, and I'm serious about this one, so I'll put my serious face on for a minute. But I'm glad we have so many countries on board. That's awesome. It's really inspiring and motivating for me, so good stuff. So listen, I want to get across something. There is no thing and nothing at all in this world worth having in your life if you can't enjoy having it. All right? Let me say that again. There is no thing and nothing at all worth having in this life if you can't enjoy having it. And that includes a better body. All right? So if you can't have a better body and enjoy having that better body, then you're really, really, really missing the point of all this. So in other words, I deal with so many people who are so worried, so anxious, so obsessed about gaining weight or about getting fat that they aren't even really enjoying the fact that they are neither of these things right now. All right? To me, that is missing the whole point. If everything you're doing in fitness is based in an anxiety of vanity and how you might look or how you might not look, instead of how it's going to make you feel, and you don't actually enjoy the fitness you have and the body you have and the body that allows you to enjoy the fitness you have, then you're totally and completely missing the point. So if you're all about scale weight and dress sizes and putting tape measures around your arms every month or around your waist, you're missing the point. There's nothing in this life worth having if you can't enjoy having it, and that includes a better body. So I wanted to really, really get that across, all right? So, and one of the other things that we always need to talk about is your real and true ideal weight. I hear all the time, what's the ideal weight? What's the ideal weight? The ideal weight is the weight that you can function best at, folks. All right, thanks for all the thumbs and hearts. Appreciate it. I wondered if I was speaking over everyone's heads. I appreciate when you guys respond to the stuff I'm saying, even if it's negative. I'll change the topic. Now let's talk ideal weight, especially for the ladies out there. The ideal weight for you is the weight where you function best, okay? It's not a number on a scale, and it's not a dress size, and it's not an image you have in your head, especially an image of someone else that you stick on your refrigerator. That is not an ideal weight, and that's not an ideal body image. So the message there is your job, all right, is to accept that and start respecting your body and start respecting and aspiring to the communication of your body in terms of biofeedback. Learning to respect biofeedback instead of denying it and rejecting it. When your body's trying to tell you it doesn't like what you're doing, you need to pay attention to that because your body's trying to protect you. Okay, so that's stop looking at ideal weight as being equated with magic numbers. There are no magic numbers, okay? The weight with which you function best at is your ideal weight. That may not be the dress size you want to see or the number on the scale you want to see, but it's sustainable, all right? Now, every so often, you might want to dip 5 or 10 pounds below that, whatever. But just recognize, okay, and accept reality, all right? Too many people have unrealistic expectations, and that's where they fall off the track because they don't meet those expectations, and then they consider themselves a failure instead of considering the expectations were unrealistic to begin with, okay? If I go out tomorrow and think I'm going to run the Boston Marathon with 2 weeks of training, my expectations are unrealistic. So if I only get to 10 kilometers and then I have to have a wheelchair back to my hotel room, I shouldn't feel bad about myself. I should realize that my expectations weren't real. All right, so that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. You have to learn from fitness, and there is nothing in this life worth having and no thing worth having if you can't enjoy having it, and that especially means a better body. So let's keep that in mind as well. So let me get to some of your questions, all right? Let me see here where I'm at. I think I'll hold on to those notes for another time. All right. Yeah, you have to relax in the process, and I'm going to talk about process in a while. So, is there any point in stretching between sets? It's a minor consideration. Too often, I really appreciate the thumbs and hearts, folks. Thank you. Stretching between sets. This is one of those things where I call, where trainers want to make something incidental instrumental instead of seeing it for what it is. It's of minor concern. What you really want to do is something like, what I like to do is, if I'm doing something that's focused, the resistance training is focused on the upper body, then I'll do some unloading or some GPP, general preparation phase, for lower body, all right? And you see that in my videos where if I'm working chest, then I'm unloading the hips and knees with some hip swings and some reach lunges and some unloading the knees with tubing and stuff like that. Wow, you guys are being very generous today with the hearts and the thumbs. Thank you. Or maybe it's just one person that keeps hitting on all that, so very important. What's my opinion on mini cuts? Depends on the purpose. You know, a lot of people, they want to get ready for summer, they want to get ready for a vacation. There's really nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a healthy vanity. The question is, where is that line in the sand where the healthy vanity becomes an unhealthy obsession? And a lot of people don't know the difference, right? I've written articles, what I call bride-becity, where I've had clients come to me and they spent a year getting ready for their wedding with really, really bad diets, ill-advised diets, and so they looked the way they wanted to look for their wedding, which is a way they've never looked before and never will look again. And then after their wedding, of course, their weight explodes, which has led to a lot of cultural bad jokes, you know, like, what's the difference between a married Italian woman and a single Italian woman? And the answer is 50 pounds. But I see that across cultures, right? From women who obsess about the wedding day, and they get on these diets and they stick to them to that day, not realizing what a metabolic rebound they're setting up. And then what happens is they have their wedding day pictures on their mantle or their fireplace or whatever, and a year, 2 years later, when they've gained 40, 50 pounds, every time they walk by those pictures, it's a reminder to them to judge themselves in a negative way and to be hard on themselves and get depressed and things like that. So I call that the lesson of bride-becity, where people don't understand the long-term effects of a short-term process. So mini cuts can be good as long as they're reasonable. If you get into nonsense like cleanses and things like that, fasting that goes on too long, then you're risking doing damage to metabolism, and that can wreak havoc. And there's a lot of people on here that certainly know the ramifications of dieting their way fat. How many times do we have to repeat the expression that I've repeated in my podcast, where someone writes me and says, I wish I was as fat now as I thought I was when I first started dieting. That kind of thing. So mini cuts, if they're done right, sure. I mean, we'll do stuff with Andy, right? But he's on the cycle diet, and he's ripped all the time. He's got a couple photo shoots coming up. He'll skip a cheat day or two, be sharper. If they want him, leaner. If they want him a little heavier, then he'll just extend his cheat day into that. So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. And if you really want to exercise a cleanse in order to look better and feel better, cleanse the mind, all right? Forget about the nonsense of cleansing your gut. Everyone wants to cleanse their gut. Ooh, it's so healthy. Why not cleanse your brain, the thing that makes it all go? All right, how do you do that? Well, maybe you go on a fast of social media. How many people write me that are stimulus addicts of social media? Everyone else is Instagram and Facebook and people they don't even know. And, stop being a stimulus addict for a week. Try a week of fasting from social media. Or delete all the pages that when you leave them you feel bad about yourself. Try that kind of cleanse, all right? Stick with social media pages that teach you something, or where you feel invigorated after visiting them. And delete the ones where you end up feeling bad about yourself. Delete subculture involvement, right? The fitness industry, everyone's posting selfies of their ass and things like that, and you're on there. Why? I mean, someone misrepresenting themselves because they look a certain way 4 weeks of the year. Delete those if they make you feel bad about yourself. All right, so that's very important. So that's a long answer to the mini cuts, Andrea. I hope that answered your question. So the stretching between sets is a minor thing. Do it, don't do it. I mean, but never stretch between sets the body part you're working. I definitely don't suggest that. So very good too. So I want to lose weight but don't want to lose mass. Is that possible? Manual, good question. It depends how it's done. If you're going to do it over the long term, then yeah, that's doable. If you're going to do it in a short term, then it's not doable. The reason you see professional, quote-unquote, bodybuilders do that is because they're on a whole litany of performance-enhancing drugs. So you can't compare yourself to that world. In the real world, fat loss and muscle loss occur together, all right, whenever there's a deprivation state. And the same thing with gain. When to bulk up, you're going to gain muscle and fat as well, along the same lines. So people who say you can lose just fat and not lose muscle don't understand human physiology and the principles of how the body works. Okay, that's just not how the body works. It's like saying, if you stop training, then your muscles turn to fat. Well, there are two different physiological properties. Muscle can't turn to fat any more than fat can turn to muscle. That's like saying once you leave school, your brain will turn to fat. All right, silly, silly, silly concepts, right? But they still exist on the gym floors all around the world. Half the time when I used to travel and give lectures and got to the question and answer session, what I'm usually doing is sticking an arrow in the hearts of training myths and mythologies that ended up getting handed down from generation to generation. Like if you want to look good, you got to train for strength. That's a myth. I was never strong, and I had one of the best physiques in the world in my day. So I was never that strong for my size and things like that. So in my world, it's too often in this industry, I'm just going to rant a little bit here, we have way too many online on the popular websites. We got way too many strength experts telling people how to develop a better body. Well, they never in their whole career were in that world of developing a better body. They were always about developing strength, and suddenly they're experts on how to develop a better body. That makes no sense to me. So, and they're misinformed, right? They say train for strength and development will come. No, 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 no. In my world, you train for development and strength will come. Right? So I'm all about setting right side up what's been upside down for way too long. And as the old Zen saying goes, if you want to know the best way up the mountain, ask the man who travels it every day, not the man who sits at the bottom and studies it. All right? So in that world, that's been me for 4 decades in terms of body recomposition and physique transformation and things like that. Not everyone is born to be strong. So training for strength can actually be training in futility. And I learned that one the hard way in my early years. So, that's something you want to pay attention to as well. So get the right sources. And these experts, they're experts and they mean well, but their experience base is in something else. So, you don't ask a heart surgeon to perform brain surgery, okay? It's that kind of expertise, all right? So, all right. Dynamic stretching. Tracy Lynn, it depends where it's done. Here's the thing about stretching. You never stretch to warm up. You warm up to stretch. What does that mean? It means if you're going to stretch at all, stretch at the end of a workout, never before. You never stretch muscles that aren't warm and already worked. And keep in mind that if you're doing any kind of body part resistance training, you're already training a muscle through its fully intended range of motion. That is in and of itself flexibility. So unless flexibility is pertinent to some kind of activity you're in, then stretching is really minor on the list of things. Now, I exclude from that yoga. Yoga is, yes, it's a form of stretching, but it's far more than that in the physical sense. Yoga teaches the mind-body connection, and that's always a plus, because so many people are denying and not listening to their body. And yoga teaches you how to gradually get into listening to, paying attention to your body, and that's always a good thing. So, training body parts 2 times a week depends on the person and what their quote-unquote need state is. There's no, oh, well, so-and-so says train it 2 times a week. So-and-so says train it 1 time a week. Again, who is the client and what do they need right now? So, everyone wants to divide everything in camps, black and white camps. Oh, he said this, but he said that. And then one has to be right and one has to be wrong. Let's understand these things in fitness, folks. You don't have to hate chocolate if you love vanilla. All right? You have to understand that some things are cohesive. And that's what my Program Design Mastery course is all about. Okay? It's all about understanding fits, proper fits, puzzle fits, okay? There's no hard answer to training 2 times a week is better than... Right now, I'm training body parts 2 times a week. Next week, I'm starting a program for Physique After 50 where I'm training 6 days a week, but I'm hitting the body parts 3 times a week, and I'm doing a 3-2-1 approach. And a 3-2-1 is the focused exercise of the day gets 3 exercises, the next focused body part gets 2 exercises, and then the arm limb focus gets 1 exercise. And then I rotate those through the week, but I'll write about that at another time. What is my opinion about G-flux and how this affects exercise prescription? Incorporating different modalities, combination of conditioning, strength. I don't know what you mean by G-flux, Maria. Gastric? I don't know. Hang on, I'm getting so many comments right now. Oh, I lost that comment. G-flux. You'll have to explain what I mean. Combination of conditioning, strength, HIT training, and active recoveries. Well, Maria, a training program can only do so much, and we have way too many wannabe experts out there who are taking a kitchen sink approach to program design. They think they can just toss it all in, right? We're going to do strength, we're going to do hypertrophy, we're going to do HIIT, we're going to do, and then you get the law of diminishing returns. If you understand the principles of exercise physiology, then you understand that you need to accentuate a certain thing, and that automatically diminishes another thing. So that's very, very important as well. So you can't take a kitchen sink approach to train. Oh, we need everything. We need cardio. We need HIIT, and we need... No. You need to narrow down what does this client need right now for the next little while to adopt to, and that's what's important there. So I'm going to the Caribbean too, Lily, soon. But I'm still in bathing suits. I'm crazy bloated. Well, what causes bloating? Okay, we know, of course, most junk foods can cause bloating. Certain combinations can cause bloating. You won't see in my diets too many times where I combine fruit with fibrous veggies. Fibrous veggies and starch go together well, like that's why you see around the world things like rice with vegetables chopped in them. They seem to digest well. But certain fruits with fibrous veggies can cause bloating. Actually, stress and worry can cause bloating, and a lot of people don't understand that sometimes stress and worry about their diet causes stomach distension and bloating and gas and things like that, and it's the actual worry, not anything they're actually eating. We know, of course, cruciferous vegetables cause bloating and distension in some people, and again, certain combinations of foods with certain combinations of processed drinks. Crystal Light is notorious for causing bloating, all right? I'm not sure what's in it. I think it's a food coloring agent, particularly. They may have changed it by now, but you know just by having it. So if you're having Crystal Light during your workout or after your workout and you notice stomach bloating, it might not be the food, all right? So it could be just the Crystal Light or the overindulgence in no zero calorie drinks. If you're going to have 0-calorie drinks, choose ones with carbonation, like Diet Coke and things like that, because the carbonation actually does good with the gases it creates in the stomach. So that's actually a good way of using low-calorie drinks. The process goals, I will talk about that, Rui. Let me get down a little deeper, and I think it's something I have written down anyway. So. Well, I don't appreciate that, Andrea. I'm not sure if I'm a legend, but legend in my own mind, maybe. But here's the thing: when people want to throw word science around a lot lately, right? And bro science and things like that. I saw something the other day where someone's intro after his thing was, I forget how he put it, but only totally informed by. My expertise is only totally informed by science and research. Well, then you're actually not the expert you think you are. Science should inform, not dictate what you do. If research comes out tomorrow that contradicts something that I've been seeing work in my clients for 4 decades, then I know the research is faulty, not the way I've been doing things for 4 decades. When you've been at the highest level of something for 4 decades, it's been a long time over and over again in my career where I've said something and got attacked for saying it because it wasn't a vogue trend at the time. And then science caught up with me like 20 years later, like when I first said that sodium is the unsung hero of hard training athletes. At the time, everything was low sodium this and low sodium that, and I wrote a whole article on how that will cause more harm than good in people who otherwise eat well. You can see that article on T-Nation. It's been redone several times. And at the time, boy, they came out of the woodwork to attack me, and then over the course of years and years, more and more research came out showing that people who eat well, and especially athletes, they could do well with adding salt to their meals. So I had to wait a long time for that research to catch up to something I knew was already working. So these people that want to hide behind research and science and say, only that tells you what to do, they're neglecting the whole art and creativity of program design and coaching and everything else. It's as much of an art as it is a science. So people hiding behind research, usually because they haven't been there and done that. And as I always say, I've never seen a coach on the sidelines who wears a lab coat. All right, so if you want to get to the nuts and bolts of something, you got to be on the front lines doing it. And then if research informs you a little bit here and there of something that maybe you can do better or reinforces what you've already been doing in scientific terms, that's great. But if you're sitting around waiting for research to tell you what to do next, intermittent fasting, ooh, there's research, it must be right. No, it's a gimmick and it's bullshit. So, that kind of thing. I don't need 10 different studies, even though they reinforce intermittent fasting. With what I know about the metabolic compensation system, I can call it wrong. And I'll wait for the next round of research that shows it's wrong, and I know that research will come down someday. So I don't bop around and pinball from whatever the latest research says we should be doing. And there's way too many experts doing that. All they do is follow whatever the trends are. They're like a yes man to, what PubMed and everything else, because all that says is they don't have a handle themselves on any kind of personal methodology or grasp of the principles. So they're waiting around for some newfangled study to come out. Oh, we should all intermittent fast. So they put all their clients on intermittent fasting, whether they fit that mold or not, and then they whatever else. Oh, if it fits your macros. Oh, they put all their clients on if it fits your macros, whether they fit that prescription or not. It just doesn't make any sense. So people who relying, there's a difference between being informed by research and being dictated to by research. So the best coaches are the ones who make people start to research things, okay? So very, very important. Jim's saying there's so much contradictory information on fruit. Not in my world there isn't. What are my thoughts on fruit? Nature made fruit, therefore fruit is a good thing. There's way too much of this nonsense on naturally produced things. Ooh, nightshade vegetables only, and Tom Brady won't eat strawberries. Tom Brady's a football player. He's not a nutrition expert. Like many other consumers out there, he believes what he's told. Just because a celebrity says something doesn't mean they research and study and analyze and understand what they're saying. So you got to be careful with that. Fruit, it comes from nature. So, if it comes from a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, don't. It was funny. Where was I? I was driving by something, and the thing was called Right Nutrition or something like that, Professional Nutrition anyway, it was a store, and inside the store everything was in canisters and powders, and I had to smile because right nutrition and proper nutrition is in the produce aisle of your grocery store. Alright, you don't need a magic store which has things in a canister that requires a label for you to read, and suddenly that's magically nutrition. Alright, engineered food, another word for engineered food is processed. Alright, so if something can fall off a tree like an apple, that's a good thing. Alright, so again, here's where people are trying to make something incidental, instrumental, something significant that's insignificant. Alright, so another question on keto. Folks, I've talked and written about keto a gazillion times. Keto is also nonsense, an overcomplication of something that doesn't need to be complicated. Tune in this Thursday when Andy and I go live. We'll talk to you about Andy's diet, and another special guest that I have will talk to you about the rest of it. So there's no fake sugar in fruits, folks. I don't know what that's about. Again, what causes bloating? I talked about all that earlier. Certain foods can cause bloating, but mostly stress and things like that. Too much caffeine. And here's another thing about bloating and stomach distension, folks, and I've written and talked about this on my YouTube channel as well, is people who get on a diet, they tend to resort to maladaptive behaviors to try to deal with hunger, alright? And what they do is they chew gum and combine that with excessive coffee drinking. Whoa. Gum starts the digestive process in the mouth, right? Gum invites saliva and things like that, which tells the stomach food is coming, but food isn't coming. So the gastric juices start flowing. You combine that with something that's as irritating to the stomach as caffeine on an empty stomach, and that's an invitation for stomach bloating and distension and things like that. So a lot of the times it's the maladaptive coping strategies people take when they're on a diet that are actually producing those things. So gum chewing and coffee drinking together, whoa, that's just inviting stomach trauma. And what I call colon hockey. So be careful of doing either of those things. I love coffee, but I'll never chew gum, just because I know what it does in the stomach. So, I might post later. Oh, fake sugars on Crystal Light. Okay, sorry, your comment wasn't descriptive enough, Nelson, and the comments come in so fast I don't know what one refers to the other. So, good, okay. I've discussed keto diet till I'm blue in the face. Maybe I'll put a link on here later. Smita, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. But I talk about keto diet almost every time on here because everyone wants to ask about it, which just shows that it's another vogue trend, which I can't stand vogue trends. Someone sent me a link last week about an actual nutritionist, a well-respected PhD nutritionist who studied a keto diet, and basically his finding was no difference for weight loss and fat loss, no difference at all. So maybe I'll post that link coming up. And I'm sick and tired of talking about something that is overly complicated that doesn't need to be, and something that puts your body in an emergency state. All right, and we don't need to be doing that as well. So same thing, before anyone asks me about intermittent fasting, just another gimmick. I wrote a blog a long time ago that intermittent fasting is actually the diet strategy used by sumo wrestlers specifically to look the way they look and want to look. So they eat a lot after midday, they skip breakfast, they eat, 2 or 3 very, very large meals per day, calorie dense meals, and they do so by purposely skipping breakfast and training on an empty stomach. So intermittent fasting is the diet of sumo wrestlers. So tell that to the next person who wants to invite you to try intermittent fasting because it's so wonderful. Not. Okay, here's another thing where, there's some research. That doesn't make it gospel, doesn't make it golden, and it certainly doesn't include everything you need in order to understand metabolism and how it works. So skipping breakfast is never a good idea if you want a healthy and robust metabolism. Remember, if just losing weight is not the equation, if you lose weight in an unhealthy metabolic environment, you're going to invite just future issues. So that's a very important thing as well. So well, if you want to know books on programming workouts, start with my Abel approach. It's already in its 2nd edition. And you want to do that, go to Program Design Masterclass, okay? That's my Program Design Masterclass, HTTP, whatever, Program Design Masterclass. I'm not sure if enrollment's still open, but you can sign up for the next course. I have a whole course on how to write workouts and how to program them and why and things like that. A question in here about eating for your blood type, gimmick. I'm not going to comment on gimmicks. It's absolutely freaking ridiculous. Eat right for your blood type. What else did I see in the bookstore? Paleo for women and paleo for children. What, suddenly these people have different genetics at a different time in their life? They're not human beings anymore? Like, stuff like this is just absolutely ridiculous, okay? So when you see things like that, it's just sad to me that people don't understand the gimmickry going on in that, right? So, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Dairy. Well, some people stomach dairy, some people don't. That's up to the individual person. You do find as you get old that people's tolerance to dairy diminishes for whatever reason. I know it happened to me too. So, dairy milk doesn't really agree with me. Goat's milk does. So there you go. Okay, people can't seem to stick to a diet strategy because they see it as too restrictive and they focus on that. How do you get your clients to not see their diet as a burden? Wow, what a great question, Ian. I really applaud that. So Ian's question speaks to what I call diet psychology, right? If you see your diet as a constant deprivation of things you want to eat, then you're not going to succeed for too long. So what you have to do is see your diet strategy as an element of choice. Okay, therefore, it has to serve 2 purposes. It has to serve the body, which keto diet doesn't, and it has to be sustainable. All right, so those 2 things operate, and then you have to get your head around other things. So, Candida, I can't even believe that's still around. There's a whole book written about what a actual lie the whole Candida albicans thing was way back in the 70s and 80s. But these things come full circle because it helps people sell bogus supplements and the rest of it. So I just wish people were more educated and schooled in this area. So Andy's program should be out, I don't know, by the end of next month. That's really not in our hands, Lily. That's in the hands of Mike, my business manager, who works his tail off putting these things together. So we had so much going on this month with putting out the Program Design Masterclass, so it should be coming out soon. Well, Heidi, it's not that dairy. See, here's misinformation again. Heidi was advised to eliminate dairy from her diet because it hinders fat loss. Is that true? No, it's not technically true. Dairy doesn't hinder fat loss. It's just not what I call cosmetically friendly. All right, so there's certain foods that if you eat in certain calorie amounts, some are going to be more cosmetically friendly than others, okay? So if I have 200 calories of skinless chicken breast with roasted red peppers and a little bit of rice versus 200 calories of yogurt, then I'm going to look better with the former than the latter. Okay, so there's little things like that. If someone wants to drink 300 calories of milk versus 300 calories of, say, beans and rice, the beans and rice is going to make them look better than the milk. Both will have a similar effect, neutral effect on fat loss, but there's foods that are just more cosmetically friendly. In other words, eating them makes you look better, and that's what bodybuilders know all about, right? There's a reason bodybuilders limit certain foods near a contest, because they cut out the ones that are less cosmetically friendly. Not to do with fat loss, just in terms of how the body will hold water or things like that, minor irritations, things like that. So that's very, very important. That was a good question. Man, lately everyone asks such good questions on my live sessions. You know, I'm happy about that. I don't recommend taking supplements. Whey protein supplements, I'll never had it, but for people in terms of convenience, when convenience needs to be a factor, then it's something. But again, that falls under my hard and fast rule that if it comes from a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, then don't. Whey protein powder, still made in a factory. You know, I see this in the health food line when I go down my grocery store. Ooh, or organic chia seed based hemp protein powder. Why not just eat real food? It's still processed powdered junk. So, you know, Cliff Bars. I mean, somehow that's been marketed to people to think they're eating something healthy. It's ridiculous. Eat real food. That's what's healthy. So, you know, that's... Yeah, and the rest of the supplements is just marketing gobbledygook. Anyone outside of the fitness industry who's a real nutrition expert and studies nutrition and you know, in realistic ways will say that you can do more harm than good taking supplements, vitamin supplements. So people in the fitness industry don't want to accept that because they want to think they're outsmarting the medical industry. It's a pride thing more than a real thing. What would I suggest eating straight after a heavy workout to optimize? Tanya, it's the wrong question, first of all. That's another industry myth, this, pre, peri, and post-nutrition. I talked about that in one of my podcasts where the most recent research showed that that had nothing to do with developing the body and fat burning. What had more to do was intra-workout muscle fiber recruitment, which is what my innervation training system is all about. Listen, what matters isn't what you eat right after your workout. What matters is your calorie balance through the whole day. Big picture, not little picture. This industry wants to focus on little picture because it can sell you junk, right? Oh, I need branched chain amino acids. Ooh, I need glutamine in my workout. Ooh, I need to sip this drink. And not any of these people who are doing that and buying this nonsense are training at a high enough work capacity to ever need that stuff. The duration of their workouts aren't long enough, and they're not working at maximum work capacity consistent enough. Therefore, you don't need stuff like worrying about what should I eat after my workout. Have calories balanced throughout the day. That's the best scenario that you can have. So, good question though. Yeah, whole seed hemp and chia seeds. I have no problem with that. That's fine. Those things are good. You're welcome, Tanya. Sometimes I think that I sound harsh on the people asking the questions, but I'm not. It's not about the person asking the question. It's about how the question is reflective of what goes on in this industry that's so disheartening and misleading because it sells supplements. And then you got all these personal trainers out there who just jump on board because it's a way they can make money. So they want to believe it, right? They want to believe that you need branched chain amino acids so they can sell them to all their clients. All right, so but I'm all about the truth. If any of that stuff worked, folks, with my reputation and the amount of following I have out there, if that stuff worked, why wouldn't I start a supplement line? I'd be a millionaire. But it doesn't work, and I have trouble lying to people and taking advantage of people who want my knowledge and expertise. I don't think knowledge and expertise should be used to manipulate and rip people off. And I think that's sad that this industry is founded upon that. So sorry about that lecture. So fat burner supplements are ridiculous. Once again, one of those things that are absolutely incidental and have no effect. Listen, Heidi, it seems that you're buying into a lot of industry hogwash here. Fat burner supplements are a waste of money. The only thing that you're going to burn through there is your wallet. All right, so... And let me be specific. I was an endorsed athlete, and I was on the panel of experts for several supplement companies back when I was in full bloom physically, because not only could they endorse me and my physique, but I had the education to spit out their gobbledygook. Now, I explained this in one of my former podcasts, okay? Here's how supplement companies work. One of the major companies that I was an endorsed person for paid several universities to study their fat burner, all right? They paid nine, I think it's nine, it was 7 or 9 universities to study their fat burner. 8 of them came back as having no effect versus diet alone. There was virtually no difference if someone took a fat burner or didn't take a fat burner. 1 of the 9 studies showed may have an effect, and even that was incidental. Here's the thing. The supplement company in this real world, unlike drug companies, supplement companies aren't obligated to tell you about all the supplements that they try to get studied. So in their ads, they don't have to tell you that they requisited 9 different studies and 8 came back as showing their fat burner no effect. They'll focus on that one study that shows may increase fat loss, and they'll present that to you as if it was the only study that the company solicited. So you're already getting a skewed misrepresentation of the actual facts and the research. And I was involved in that for a decade. I know how supplement companies work the system in terms of clinically proven results and all the rest of the nonsense you see out there. As a matter of fact, on the panel of experts, besides someone like me with the background in training, they would also have a legal expert who would tell them what they can and can't get away with saying. In my dungeon, hanging on the wall, I have an article written by me, and I use it at my workshops because it was saying studies show that people taking this supplement gain 9 pounds of mass in 8 weeks. Notice the wording there, 9 pounds of mass. It doesn't say 9 pounds of muscle. I can have you gain 9 pounds of mass by mixing whole milk with ice cream before bed every night, and you're going to gain 9 pounds of mass in 8 weeks. So what? But this is the way these things are worded, right? And I was also a paid endorsed person professionally, because here's what you need to know about that. Several supplement companies put me on their payroll, and what they would do is ask me if I had any good clients that would make for good before and after pictures. That's how Andy became a supermodel, by the way. So they would pay me to train these people and diet them down. They wouldn't even take this company's supplements, but then the supplement company would sign these people to an endorsement contract so they could say, along with products from this particular company, you know, I lost 40 pounds and blah, 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 blah. Once in the magazine's article was written on me, how I gained 45 pounds of muscle in 12 weeks. Well, did I gain 45 pounds of muscle in 12 weeks? No. I was flat on my back after back surgery for 4 or 5 months, and then I got back to regular training when my back was healed, and because of muscle memory, I put back all the muscle that I lost in 12 weeks. Had nothing to do with the supplements. But the supplements pounded out that I was taking this and I was taking that because I signed on the dotted line and told them that they could. Meanwhile, I wasn't even taking the supplements. And some of the supplements that my clients endorsed didn't even exist at the time that the photo shoot was done with my clients. This is how things work. And at the time, I was always okay with it because at the time, I always thought that people were pretty reasonable in what they would believe. In other words, if you put Wayne Gretzky or Michael Jordan on a cover of a Wheaties box, you didn't think that they played basketball better or hockey better because they ate Wheaties. And I always thought people in the fitness industry were, you know, had equal amount of common sense, but it turned out they didn't. They buy this stuff hook, line, and sinker, and then once I realized that, I had to get out of that, even though it was quite lucrative for me to. But I did all the work. My clients did the before and after transformations, and then the supplement companies took all the credit. So you got to be careful. Tanya, which books? You could try my Hard Gainer Solution. You could try my book Permanent Weight Loss. You could try things like that. So arthritic shoulders. Yeah, okay. I'll try anything. The Quotation Behind You by Einstein. Well, I got a whole lot of Einstein quotes. What one are you looking at? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I tend to be a creative person. People think of me as an analytical person, but that's because I have so much creativity in me, and people don't make that connection. So that Einstein quote It says there are two ways to live your life. There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, and the other is as though everything is. Obviously, I live the latter. There's another Einstein quote that I use, which reflects on my personal experience in this industry, and it's the fact is that the greatest of spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds, and that's something that I've run into in my career as well. So good that you asked about that. Linda says, I know your Scott Abel quote, you can't sculpt a pebble. What are some indications that a woman should do a bulk? Yeah, I don't know about cycles of bulking and cutting. Why not just call it, cycles of what you need for strength density to put on mass and what you don't. Thanks for all the thumbs up and hearts, folks. It really, when they come across the screen, it helps me. So yeah, there's too many women, Linda, who are canceling out what they need to be doing by either being on way too restricted a calorie intake for the workouts they're doing, or they go into the gym, and I see this all the time at my gym. First thing to do is hop on the treadmill or the elliptical, and what's with hopping on the treadmill and tying the friggin' elastic band between your legs and stretching out like you're doing something wonderful for your glutes? A complete waste of time again. People just don't understand the principles. So, yes, women should be doing a lot more scripted resistance training, and what I mean by that is proper programming, not just bouncing around from exercise to exercise. Might as well do a boot camp if you're going to do that. But I don't think women would take well to bulking, and I think bulking for women, when they gain fat, it's also a trigger for estrogen, and then the estrogen fat feedback loop can lead to women gaining more fat than a man would if he went through a bulk and cutting cycle, and I think too many trainers don't understand the difference in human hormone and biochemistry between a man and a woman, especially after a certain age. So that became a better question than it sounded like. So that was an excellent question, Linda. Great. Yes, you should always keep your sources. Should I keep all my sources of nutrition from food rather than dietary supplements? Absolutely. I don't take fish oil. I don't take a multivitamin. I don't take a B complex. I don't take vitamin C, I don't take MSM, I don't take anything, all right? And I'm going to be 56 this year, and my blood work is spectacular. So, yeah, I have advanced arthritis in my shoulders and stuff, but that's because of my career choice in my younger years. Every orthopedic surgeon that I went to when I started having these problems asked me about my career in bodybuilding, the kind of weights I lifted, and then they just shrugged their shoulders and said, well, choose the behavior, choose the consequences. Your shoulder joints weren't meant to lift 110-pound dumbbells over your head and 160-pound dumbbells for chest presses. I mean, there's going to be consequences for that, just like for football players in collision sports. There's going to be concussions and things like that are going to affect you down the road. So what we do in our youth is definitely going to impact our latter years, right? So very, very important stuff. The right diet for women and nutrition. Try my book, The Busy Woman's Train at Home and Diet Program, ScottAbelFitness.com. I think you'll get a lot out of that. We're actually turning that into a course. That's where Krista helps me shoot. There's 16 circuits there that women can do at home, and we shoot those every week. And when we're done all 16, we're turning that into an actual course that ladies can follow, and it'll have online support and things like that. So I'm very, very excited about that future project that's just in the beginner works right now. So, some questions just illustrate a lack of understanding. Am I in favor of resistance band training program? And you say it's very new in the fitness industry. It's not new in the fitness industry. It's been around since the 60s, training with resistance band. That's nothing new. But here's the thing, Hashmat. You're confusing the tools with the rules, all right? The tools of training are just tools. That's what's in your toolbox, okay? And the best craftsmen use the fewest tools. The best craftsmen aren't the ones with the shiny new tools that just came out at Home Depot. You'll find the best craftsmen on the planet, they're happy with the hammer they've been using for 40 years that's all marked and scarred up. So don't confuse the tools with the rules. Rules are tried and proven methodologies that get handed down from generation to generation because they work. Tools come and go, right? The Bosu ball was everything 10 years ago. Now, there's even articles written, Death of the Bosu ball. Well, it's just a tool, and how you implement that tool is what matters. So very, very important stuff there. So now I want to get to another point. I want to just throw thumbs across the screen if you can. A couple things before we conclude here. So I want to ask all of you, let's say, so some of you are probably married or with somebody, so let's pretend you're living alone, okay? How many of you are in your 20s, okay? If you're in your 20s, just throw some thumbs across the board for me, okay? Fair amount. Okay, how many of you are in your 30s? Okay, all right, just a few. All right, a few more. Okay, how many of you are in your 40s or more? Okay, so it's a schmedgling of each. Now, let's say you have a goal, okay? And your goal, oh, here come the numbers now. It's a little drastic on it. Okay, now let's pretend you live alone, all right? Now, think that you live alone, all right? And your goal is to retire at age 60, okay, and being financially secure enough to retire at age 60, to have a winter home in the South, all right? So think about that, all right? If you lived alone, can you reach that goal with a part-time job? All right, write down if you think you can or you can't reach that goal with a part-time job. All right, and think about that. All right. So, why am I bringing up that example? Well, here's the thing: people in this industry are focused on short-term acquisitions and short-term goals. They don't think about long-term results and long-term consequences. Okay. If you want to buy a car right now that you really can't afford and you lose your job, there's long-term consequences to that. So why am I bringing that up? Well, having a long-term goal of financial stability in 5, 10, 15 years is all very much like having a long-term goal of not only losing weight but sustaining that weight loss and keeping it off for 10, 15, 20 years, right? Can you do that with a part-time diet strategy? Can you do that thinking that you're going to diet Monday to Thursday and ooh, the weekend's here, it's Friday night, and from Friday to Sunday you just eat whatever the hell you want even though you're overweight? That's part-time dieting, all right? And if your goal is long-term, freedom from diet constraints, then you can't be a part-time diet strategy person. You just can't, all right? This is a full-time investment. Invest in your future. How do you invest in your future? Well, if you lived alone, you're not likely to be able to save enough money, all right, to retire at age 60 with a part-time job. And it's the same thing. If you have weight to lose and you want a sustainable weight loss platform and be healthier and more fit forever, then that requires full-time investment right now, not part-time investment, dieting when you feel like it or dieting when it's convenient. And that's why you have to look at diet as a diet strategy and lifestyle and not as a short-term investment in weight loss, okay? So that's just one of those things I wanted to get out there in terms of analogy, have people think about some things. Yeah, so I'm missing a lot of comments. So hopefully that made some sense. Don't see a whole lot of thumbs across the board, but I think that analogy is important. So, and also, folks, if you have a pen and paper or handy right now, if you could just grab that, because I want to leave you with, I try to leave you with stuff that's beyond sets, reps, calories, and grams, right? And try to give you some teachable moments, all right? And one of those things is I want you to consider the term drive, okay? What drives you, all right? I asked you a couple weeks ago to think about what keeps you up at night, but what gets you up in the morning, and which of those two things tend to play out more, all right? So for a lot of people, that shows where they need to orient their mind, all right? Too much of what keeps them up at night influences their day rather than waking each day with what gets them up in the morning. So I want you to think about the term drive. In particular, hard drive on a computer. So this is another analogy that I'm giving you in the forms of an anagram, all right? And I presented this at one of my workshops a long time ago. So if you have a pen and paper, I want you to consider the word drive. What drives you, all right? So I want you to consider drive as in D period, R period, I period, V period, E period. And then write the word, after we're done, write the word hard over top of it, right, for hard drive, okay? So you got that right now? Okay. So I want you to consider drive, and the D stands for diligence and devotion, all right? Write that down. The R stands for resilience and respect for responsibility. Responsibility is not the same as obligation, all right? Responsibility is an ability to respond. It's a response ability. It's a maturity. You don't diet because you have to. It's not an obligation. All right? So the R stands for resilience, respect, and responsibility. All right? The I stands for what? Inspired. All right? Inspired means literally coming from in spirit. No one else is responsible to inspire you for a lifetime and to motivate you. All right? That has to come within, and it doesn't come within. All right? Those are different things. All right? Inspiration comes from within, not from within. Okay? Big difference. So, inspired behavior. Your behavior can't be rote behavior. Oh, I gotta go to the gym today. Oh, chicken and fish again. That's not inspired behavior. Inspired behavior is choices that are going to sustain you for the long term. All right? V is what I'm getting at here in drive, is for volition and choice. Acting with volition as a mindset. All right? No one's making you do this. All right? No one is compelling you to do this. So don't say you're doing it for your husband. You don't say you're doing it for your wife. Don't say you're doing it for your kids. Make it an act of volition. All right? Volition is an act of will, not willpower. All right? And then E is for engagement and embracing of the process. Forget the long-term goal. Goals can change. You have to embrace and be engaged in the process with a healthy attitude. All right? Too many people doing way too much in what they call the spirit of fitness without ever entertaining the fitness of spirit. Stop it, all right? So engagement and embracing, all right? So that's drive. That's what drive actually is. Diligence and devotion, resilience and respect and responsibility, inspired behavior, volition and choice, engagement and embracement of the process. That's drive, and that's what I want to leave you with today. If you have that, you'll never struggle in anything ever again. If you don't have that, then you're going to create battlefields in your mind. All right, you're going to have a mindset of nothing but battlefields. So that's very, very important. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with that stuff, folks. I've gone over time. It's time for my old man walk. I'm going to go walk the hills of Kelowna, and I guess I'll see you next week. Have your messages ready. Hopefully those things help you, folks. If you like those analogies, you want me to keep bringing them every week as part of this educational process, just throw some thumbs across the screen and I'll know to bring them. And if not, yeah, so if not, then I'll stop bringing them. But for me, it's all about this. Quality of mindset determines quality of behavior, and I'll say that pretty much on every live cast that I do. I appreciate all the thumbs and the hearts, folks. Thank you very, very much. So remember, hard drive. Write it down somewhere where you're going to see it all the time. Forget putting up pictures of celebrities and other people's physiques that you envy. Put up a poster that says hard drive on it and remind yourself of what that means, and you will be duly inspired. And inspired behavior always leads to something good, folks. It's what brings me to you every week. So thanks for being out there. If you weren't, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for me being in here. So stay tuned. Hopefully you can make it to live Thursday. Something pretty interesting coming at you. I'm going to explain a lot about real diets in real world, so you'll get to that. I appreciate all the thumbs and hearts, folks. It means a lot. So stay tuned. If you caught this late, remember later in the day I do publish it over on my YouTube channel, just so people can catch up for the times that I won't be live. And remember, Smarter Sculpted Physique is the podcast, so lots of special guests coming up. So you want to maybe sign up to there on iTunes. If so, by all means, please leave us a review and a star rating. And even with these folks, if you can share them, it goes to help serving the purpose for a wider reach. And I would really, really appreciate the shares on the live. That helps as well. And thank you for the response. Very touching. So Thursday, usually around noon my time. It's hard to say. It depends how much videotaping we get done. usually around noon my time, which is Pacific time. So I don't know what time that is out there for you guys. But yeah, so have a good day, folks. I'm out to do my old man walk. And if you're around Thursday, I'll see you. If not, next week for Sunday breakfast with the coach. Thanks for attending.